Markets Now is brought to you by the 5-year anniversary of Brevant Seeds. Here's to 5 years of not just winning, but collecting one game-changing W after another. See all of our wins at brevant.com/wins.
And welcome to Markets Now. I'm Michelle Rook, back with Scott Varilek of Kooima, Varilek, and seeing quite a bit of green on the board this morning in both grain and livestock futures trade. And Scott, it has been kind of a wild ride here, a lot of volatility in the cattle market. So let's start off there. The sell-off that we had yesterday, was it profit taking, or is everybody worried about this New World screwworm announcement that the secretary is going to be making today?
Yeah, thanks for having me. And the increased volatility, that's an understatement. I mean, it's been an emotional ride here with the cattle futures. I mean, even prior to this week, we've had a limit down feeder trade twice now over the last 2 weeks. I haven't had one this week, but big break yesterday. So only to find its way back and rally back. But pretty big correction yesterday. And I think, yes, that's going to be based a lot on what we're going to get for an announcement from Secretary Rollins today. Sounds like at 11 o'clock is going to be a press conference. Nobody's real sure where to find it, but we'll track that down. Just what is she going to say? We're all trying to read between the lines and figure it out. So the only thing I can come up with is she's probably going to announce some kind of, here's the plan on how we're going to reopen the border, would be my expectations. I don't think you can stand up there and say, okay, we're opening tomorrow. Here they come. We're good. Never mind. So probably here's the measures. Here's the plan. So we're all kind of wrapped up around it because we've got all of these, drastically lower placements in the South, and they really want that border open in the cattle feeding sector because they need them. Their plants are struggling down there where they need those numbers. They rely on them. So it's been great for the American cow-calf, man. I mean, what a year that we've had. But so we're all wrapped up into that. It was easy to probably have some longs shake loose ahead of that. So expectations that there's some sort of plan to open it. Several different rumors floating around. I don't know if anybody knows, but that cattle are moving north, or that there's equipment heading south, getting ready for this. So regardless, we'll try to hopefully have some clarity today on that.
Yeah, and it would be probably a phased reopening like they originally announced, but put into context, we're not talking about a lot of numbers that are going to be coming across right away anyways, right? From Mexico?
It would take some time, and I would expect that, what's going to come across. I think, everybody wants to know, what have those cattle been doing down there? Are they slaughtering some? Hearing, yep, they're getting some slaughter down there, and now they're backed up on meat. But if they were backed up on meat, I would think the meat would be coming up here. So a lot of questions there. I would imagine it's going to be some mixed loads, a lot of tall, rangy, green cattle. That's my expectation, that we're going to have some pretty green cattle and all different weights coming across. So it'll be quite a variety. But I think the deferred live cattle futures need to kind of be aware of that. There could be some, more of this bull spread type of action because, okay, any kind of increased supply could change the dynamic a little bit. I mean, supply is the reason that producers have leverage. It's been an enjoyable ride. Hey, when you get to ask for higher cash prices and you have negotiators out there, this is what a market can do. If we get to where that supply gets fixed, if you couple this Mexican border, yeah, maybe not the most overwhelming numbers, but couple it with heifer retention. If we start to see that supply is in jeopardy, the futures usually snip that out ahead. So could be that thing that shifts the leverage just a little bit. And that's really the main trump card we have as producers.
Yeah, I want to remind folks, though, when you're up at these lofty levels, you could have a pretty good correction and still be in an uptrend, couldn't you?
That's the scary part to talk about, just how high we are and how much we could correct. I mean, none of us have answered the question how high it can go. So when we start getting the question, how low can it go, that's going to be a tough conversation because we're at lofty levels. I mean, these long-term charts have been a nice, steady 5-year uptrend. And we put this last chunk of a rally on pretty fast. So a lot of room to the downside. That's why puts are expensive. I still think it's something that we have to look at. Yeah, we have high prices. I mean, somebody has to sell you that put. So marketing's been a just a challenge this year, very much a challenge because we're handling so many dollars. So you're going to have to get used to paying some more for some kind of put there because, like you're saying, the amount that we can break could financially destroy somebody. So as an individual, family, farmer, make sure you have your ducks in a row because just because of the sheer risk that we have on the downside.
Right. So technically, we're really watching those 20-day moving averages, like on the live cattle, that have to hold for the funds not to liquidate, right?
That's been what we've been looking at. I mean, the 20-day seems to be the line we're holding. Is that the funds line in the sand? I don't know. But that short term, that's what we can look at because some of the long-term trends and support is well lower than we're at now. So short term, that's something we can fall back on. I don't know if I have as much stake into it as other people here, but it's something for us to look at with all of the cloudy trade up and down. That's at least something we can look at here for some short-term direction.
You bet. It was curious yesterday as well because we have had box beef moving higher this week. Choice was up another over $3 yesterday. And the early cash news I heard was better, but where we haven't had a lot of cash news, what do we know so far?
Well, the boxes, it doesn't surprise me. Yep, the time of year that will do it. We've got the Labor Day buying happening, so they will definitely rise those prices here for that run here. And then the cash cattle country, I mean, it's the second week in a row where it just feels a little more sluggish. We've actually been fairly steady live cattle cash for 4 to 5 weeks now, so it's not been the mover like the futures have. The futures have tried to narrow the space some. But yeah, there was some 237 in the south early on. We've got some early on 245, then some 242. There was some bids at 241. So still in that mid to lower 240s. And a lot of this trade is happening for month out delivery, 3 weeks out delivery, looking into September. So these are cattle that don't actually fit this Labor Day demand. So, I mean, that's still good. I mean, you're wanting to take that as a producer. Look at the October futures at 227 and seeing some of those prices. It's still a lot of the same story that we're getting used to. It's impressive cash compared to what the futures are. So cash is king. That's been why we're here. It might feel a little bit sloppier, but those prices are still nothing to sneeze at there.
No, it's been a nice ride. All right, the hog market, August went off the board yesterday, leaving like a $20 discount in the August futures. Every year we say, oh, it's going to go up to meet the cash. Are we going to be disappointed again like normal?
Yeah, it kind of the every year we do look at this, it's exactly right. And it always takes its sweet time. It's 2 months away. We know that there's seasonally more numbers for that October timeframe. So it usually likes to lay here and wait. And then we get into middle of September, then it starts to digest where we're at and if it needs to move higher a little bit. So, which I think could happen. It's possible the upfront feels okay to me. It does look like, we're getting some more numbers around us. The ice wings, the feeder pigs, the offerings are better than they were. I think the farrowing units have gotten through some of these disease issues, and we're really starting to turn that crank as we get some numbers coming at us. So coming into the fourth quarter and through most of the fourth quarter, I feel okay on supply. I think you turn the page into next year and we are going to have numbers around us again. And that's going to feel pretty heavy. So feeling limited on the upside as we move through the end of the year here and cutout prices. What I hear, it's just, the pork carcass is just a little bit sloppy. I'm not hearing any real signs of strength. So going to take its time if this market's going to try to close any of this gap here to the upside.
And greens are in the green this morning. It's been a good week for soybeans, obviously, but is this all bargain hunting, short covering, technical buying, whatever you want to buy it? And if corn closes above $4, would that confirm a low?
I don't think it's going to confirm a low for me. We're trying to track the basis to decide, hey, are we really getting some value buying down here in the corn market? Basis moving around a little bit, get a few decent signs this morning at some basis, Nebraska narrowed up in some certain areas. So feeling okay. It's a price that that we can live with as end users for sure. But I think it's maybe just rallying a little bit on these beans. The beans had such a good report that those are good numbers for them. So able to put some on, but for all of this grain, I'm feeling limited. I still think our yields and our harvest pressure is yet to come. So for me, still looking for some more downside room here. I mean, we're getting pretty used to having a 3 in front of the cash corn and significantly under the basis. So we got below $4 once. Now we're kind of back to it. I don't feel like that's going to be a line in the sand that's going to move it much here. Looking at the option market on the corn, they're very low priced. They're cheap. Just kind of tells me I don't think this corn really expects upside to happen here. So that's what I'm trying to track. Nobody's wanting to stick their neck out there and buy those calls real high price. So feels a little bit sloppy to me.
All right. Good point you make as always. Thanks so much, Scott Varilek with Kooima Varilek. That is Markets Now.
You were right.
You were right.
You were right.
Well, you were right. When you choose your seed brand, there's winning, and then there's...
You were right. Should have gone with Brevant seeds.
When you choose Brevant seeds, you don't just win. You get to be right. Don't just win. Win. Talk with your retailer or visit Brevant.com/win to get started.